Hi guys, welcome to a new episode of Outside the Ropes with Luke Basham, and this week I'm giving you 2 episodes of Sit Down With. My first sit down with is with the man, none other than Kelly Sixx.
Mike Beats.
Right guys, thank you for joining me on Outside the Ropes once again, and it's another sit down with, and today's guest is none other than Mr. Kelly Sixx. How are you, buddy?
Hello guys, I'm feeling very good. Kelly Sixx here, talking to Luke Basham about his huge mansion or his new dragon, but who's asking? Let's kick it off, mate. Let's kick it off. I'm looking forward to it.
So this episode is brought to you by On The Gear. We are not subsidising in steroids. This is a new thing for Kelly Sixx himself. I'm going to let him explain what On The Gear is, and then we'll crack on with the rest of the questions.
Yeah, so I mean, you had Chuck Cyrus on, so you can't really say you're completely against steroids. But yeah, so On The Gear is my fantastic new on-demand printing website. Basically, it's mainly for wrestlers. We've also got some designers and stuff on there as well. In terms of what the fans get from it, you go on the site, you order your favorite wrestlers' merch, we print it like specifically for you. We don't keep stock, we just print it, we package it, we send it, you get it, and they get the money from it at the beginning of every month. So you can support your favorite wrestler without them having to do any work. So again, from the wrestlers' side, that means they get the opportunity to make money and make merch without having to buy 50 or 100 shirts in one go. So yeah, it's good for everybody. I would advise you go and have a look at www.onthegear.co.uk. Yeah, we're adding new people every day. Hopefully adding some Luke Basham at some point. You never know.
Wink, wink. So, to be fair, one of the guys I'm also speaking to this week is Hustle Malone. You guys are 2 guys that I look at in British wrestling that I think are 2 of the most creative guys going with the kind of stuff you do. You're going with the King of Performance, or have been now for a while. Talk me through that. Where did that start? Where did the King of Performance come from?
So King of Performance was basically I'm trying to remember if it started prior to stuff, because like when I first started training and that I wrestled under like my birth name for a while, and then I wrestled under Kelly Kakarot when I was just in all Dragon Ball Z gear.
Yes, I have seen.
That's fine. Then I became Kelly Sixx off the back of that, and the King of Performance thing basically came from an offhanded line. I didn't actually realise I got it wrong until the other day. As a battle rapper, one of the best battle rappers in the world, by the name of Shotty Horror, he's known for just like his mannerisms and stuff are very similar to mine. And I immediately thought, like, fuck, we're basically the same concept. And he drops something, he does like this amazing scheme, and then just goes like, "Don't flop, King of Performance." And I was like, "Oh shit, cool." And then realised that he was actually referring to someone else because they call themselves King of Performance. But basically, it came from rap battles, and I thought, I love doing promos. I'm all about the flamboyance and character. I've always been told I'm too pretty, like not in the face, but like my wrestling is too pretty, and people want it to be more gritty. This wasn't intentionally meant to rhyme, but yeah. So yeah, that kind of, it all just came from that, and I was like, this all makes sense. All I do, started using it. Then I started just doing promos all the time. Started doing these diss tracks and everything. So yeah, that was a long way round to give you the explanation.
No, it's fine. So, am I right in suggesting that your training in pro wrestling was probably a bit different? Probably very similar to Ash Draven's with the backyard wrestling?
I mean, we could say it's similar to Ash Draven's, but Draven's had very little training altogether. And that's not a knock on him. It's just categorically, I was one of the first people out of our section, like the RCWA section of wrestling, to actually train. I backyarded with all those guys for a long, long time. And it wasn't until I started training in 2010 where I transferred that into my backyard wrestling, and I suddenly got it. Before that, I was honestly like one of the middle to bottom rung wrestlers in the backyard, and just couldn't get past it, couldn't figure it out. And then I went training, figured out all this other stuff that other people couldn't do, and then suddenly like took that step up. So yeah, that was like I trained. Originally, I did FWA when I was 14 for like 2 weeks. Got asked to do. I can't remember who I said this to the other day, but I got asked to do like 200 press ups, 200 squats, 200 sit ups, all this shit when I walked in the door at 14. I was like, mate, I just came here to do a Batista bomb. Like, so that shows didn't go. So yeah, I did that, didn't go, backyarded off the back of that, went to Justin Richards School of Wrestling in Essex. Every week I'd travel up to there, train. So it was like 2 hours there, 2 hours back. Took a break from that, went to one in Portsmouth, went to a different bunch of ones. The only one I've stayed with consistently was, sorry, I've just got a bunch of Disaronno as always, and I was
no, it's fine.
I haven't eaten today, so it's not good. But yeah, so then I went to the Portsmouth School of Wrestling with Rev Pro, and that's where I stayed and perfected a lot of my stuff. So yeah, I ended up training a hell of a lot in the end. But I know a lot of people came from the yard that didn't train at all. I know Ash did very little training and stuff. So, and it's just sort of learned on the job. So yeah, I'd probably say I'm more similar to Osprey, obviously not in level by any means, but like in the path of like we really only got very good when we went training. Don't I just want to put that out there. Definitely not ever saying I'm like Osprey on the same level.
To be fair, obviously, if he sees this, I'll be surprised. But if he does, great.
Yeah, tweet him.
But no, you know, I was looking. I've been doing my research as I have with when I sat down with Chuck, and when I sat down with Ash. You know, and differently to them two, obviously you've had a trip also to Japan. Talk to me about Japan. You know, what was it like? Did you enjoy it? Would you want to go back?
Yeah, I loved Japan. So Japan was such a. There's so much that went into it, and a lot that I like. I won't go too deep into. But the general idea was like, I lost a bunch of opportunities that end either halfway through the year before. So let's say I went 2017 because I can't remember dates. I'm really bad at that. If I went 2017, then halfway through 2016, I lost a load of opportunities basically because someone fucked me over to be fair, it was like part accident on their part, but I lost a load of big stuff. And by the time it got to the end of the year, I was literally just sat there and I was like, I really don't know what to do. And I went out for dinner with Osprey. I was just like, I don't know what I need to do. Like where I go from here, I feel like I'm kind of done. And it was like, and he started talking to me about going to some of the smaller dojos out there because obviously he's not going to get me into shit like New Japan and things like that. That's reserved for like the elite. But I could still get into Takuma Shinoku's dojo, although he doesn't affiliate with them anymore. But it's Kaintai dojo, and I was like, okay, yeah, like if you can get me there, I'll go there. The full 3 months that I'm allowed to be there on my tourist visa, I'll go. It was New Year's Eve. He's texted me Takuma Shinoku's number. It's like, yeah, contact him. I was like, fuck, okay. Bad him up. And I'm like, yeah, I want to come out. We chat, give him all the flight details, go out there for 3 months. Went out and it was crazy good. Like, I went out. So there's this thing, it's like to sidetrack it. It's okay that I talk so much, by the way.
You talk as much as you want, as long, you know, I'm pretty sure it doesn't cut off after an hour, so we're all right.
Good. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I have a habit of like all of my stories interlink. There's not like a clear start and end. So there's cool bits I like to add.
I'm sure either way, I'm sure the guys that will watch it will enjoy it. So you go for as much as you want, mate.
Fingers crossed. Okay. So I was going to say, yeah, went out to there. Yeah. So this is my side note. Is what I've decided that I'm never gonna deadlift again. I'm afraid because whenever I try to break my deadlift records, okay, like I did that before I went to Japan. Whenever that happens, something goes wrong, and I I can't wrestle for some reason. Originally, I got real high to breaking my deadlift record, dislocated my shoulder. Got real high to breaking my deadlift record. Went to Japan where we just didn't have the equipment for the deadlifts I wanted to do. Came back, got close to breaking my deadlift record again with my other shoulder. So and wrestling's completely ended now. So 3 out of 3, it's my fault. So just that's a side note. I'm never going to deadlift again. But anyway, yeah. So I was going out there as a big boy. Like I'd gone, I'm just going to do fucking all the squats I can before I go out, get my cardio up, but also go out there strong rather than trying to be ripped. Because I thought when I'm out there, I'll eat that diet, I'll lose a lot of weight that way. So that was cool. Taka used to rip on me, just grab my stomach and just be like, "Oh, fat boy." So I was like, "No." And even after I'd lost like 2 stone, he was still like, "Ah, fatty, fatty." I was like, "No, can't do that to me." But yeah, it was great. Fucking every day, you wake up, you clean the dojo from 9 till 9:30, I think it was. Then you eat until 10. I'd stopped eating after a while because it would upset my stomach for the rest of the day, so I just eat afterwards. But yeah, you do that. At 10, you'll go for a run, which is like loads and loads of laps around the baseball fields. You come back in, you go downstairs, and it's either weight training or drills for like cardio, and then that's like 2 hours, and then another 2 hours after that is actual in-ring training, where it'll be drills for the first hour, and then just something theoretical for the last bit. And then you're free for the rest of the day. And of course, they've got a ring in the venue, so I just wrestle all the time, all night. I just come up with moves and shit, and me and the guys that live there would just go down all night and wrestle. It was great. I got absolutely schooled by one of the boys. There was a judo champion, and he got me to do some shoot fighting with him, and I didn't win a single round out of like 20 rounds we did. He just like destroyed me. But yeah, so that's a bit of this and a bit of that from the story. But essentially, I learned a lot more about intensity in wrestling, a lot more about making small things mean something. And you always get told that. That's one of the things, along with slow down, show out more, all those feedback bits that you get from older guys, especially, that mean fuck all if it doesn't get explained to a great degree. And these guys that didn't speak English helped me understand what that meant to a greater degree. So I came back 10 times the wrestler. Unfortunately, I came back fucking depressed and stuff because of other shit in my life. But I lost a lot of weight, was in probably most attractive shape of my life at some point. But yeah, it was a crazy experience. Wouldn't like change that to Japan part at all. And I would definitely love to go out again. The only thing that would hold me back is that when I came back, I lost a lot of my bookings because I had so many repeat bookings before I went away. And then if you don't keep them up, a lot of promoters won't keep you on the books. And it was hard to get shit when I came back, even though I was coming back 10 times the wrestler I went out as. So that was quite interesting. So yeah.
That's really strange, man. Like that people's personality would think like that. Like, Martin Kirby, who we've had regularly at APW, he went out to Japan, did some stuff out there. Our plan was to eventually, when he got back, was going to bring him back anyway, as we would do with anyone. So I don't get that mentality, and it's a shame because I also remember just before you went out to Japan, like you were quite hot at the time on the indie scene wise. I think I think that's okay to say. I think like that you was everywhere. I was around that time, so I think we're going back about 4 years ago, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was 2016. I went full time a year beforehand, around the time whenever Lucha Forever was, because that started like spring going into summer. That's when I went full time, and it was like a year after that.
Yeah, because I wouldn't say I was very entwined with indie wrestling and wrestlers that, so I'd always get like, oh, you need to check this guy out, like he's one, and you was one at the time, you was literally one of the guys, and I remember we were looking at like the new bookings for APW, and I was like, okay, this, he's getting about, could be a good new talent, and we're about to talk, maybe make a discussions about booking you, and then you're off to Japan, and I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll see what happens in 3 months, and then it went slightly quiet for a bit, but then the King of Performance guy come back, and I love the King of Performance guy. I love the rap. I love all the new rap stuff. I think like it's very creative. It's different to what everyone else is doing. I remember, if I'm right, there was one time where you contemplated not doing it again.
Yes, was that a recent time or not?
Yes, it was definitely within. I think it was roughly the time we went out in Telford.
Oh, maybe then. Yeah, because I can't remember why. Honestly, I don't have a lot of recollection that night in general. Anyway, I drank a lot. So yeah, I was in you. That was when I was in fucking train wreck phase, and all I was doing was on fucking Tinder every day, every few days. I was at a new person's house. All I do was just work all day, date all night, and that was just my way of getting my head sorted. Which sounds really counterproductive, but yeah, you caught me in the middle of that, and I was like, "Oh, we're going out drinking, are we?" Then we're really going out drinking.
Would you say that you're probably, but and I would say like why the vibe I've got now that you're your harshest critic of everything.
Yeah, I think I it, I feel I hate saying things that are cliche, and I think saying you're your own critic, your own worst critic, is so cliche, even though it's accurate. There are other people that give me harsh criticisms, which I'm thankful for. Again, not to just name drop him 50,000 times, but like an Osprey or a Chuck Cyrus as well will both give me honest feedback, and I'll always listen to them. And the only thing I've ever failed at listening to is like getting in shape for stuff because I don't know what it is. I genuinely have some kind of food addiction that I developed when I was like 17 to 18, where 4 to 5 times a week we'd eat a lot of random like crap. And my friend would just buy all of it, so I wouldn't spend a penny, and I'd just be getting all this crap food for free. And it just got me in this cycle, and I never got out of it. And the only time I lost weight is when I got super depressed. And that's just how I dealt with that. But yeah, that's the only feedback that, like, especially that Will's given me, that I hate myself for not following through on. But all their other stuff, they're real to the point. They don't beat around the bush. They're like, this is what I think about you, honestly, and it's great. Yeah, I'm definitely. I am definitely my worst critic in the sense that I'll look at all my stuff and go, "Oh, I put up this video and it only got like 2 or 3 thousand likes, whereas the one before got 10,000. Maybe it's run its course, etc., etc." Or I'll put up. So I looked at my Instagram today, and I saw there was somebody that had like 900 likes, so like a wrestler from in the scene that has like 900 likes. Um, and then I was on one of their pictures, and I looked at mine, and I was like, "Wow, I've got like 50." I was like, "But I've been around so much longer than you. I'm so much more experienced. How the fuck? Hello? Bear with me. You're right. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm doing this interview. Sorry, I heard.
That's okay.
I heard fucking Darcy Stone give me a call, and it's usually something she's in distress. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, I am my worst critic for that. I'll always watch my own stuff back and pick it apart, and I really do look at my. I think it's good in the sense I look at myself and go, "Would I book me?" And a lot of the time, the answer is no, and that helps me to go, "What would make me book me as a promoter?"
Well, I think that's a fair comment. I think I like personally when I've worked with you now for a while with APW and SWA, and I think you do you criticize yourself probably a bit too much, and you can see it by the way you're even talking now. I think that you bring a lot to the table in different rosters. I mean, I remember literally you were a last minute booking for SWA at one point when we had a dropout for against Chantel, and yet that match turned out to be one of probably the best matches SWA had last year. Um, you know, talk to me about that match because it's. I remember you messaging me like, "Look, I know if you need a guy," and I was just like, "Fuck it, let's get." I've been wanting him up here. Let's get him here. What was your feeling going into that match? Because at that time she was still fairly green as well, I would say.
Yeah, I'd probably say she still is technically green, and that's not due to her own lack of training or anything. It's just due to the fact that she hasn't had enough of the opportunities that she needs to learn stuff. So she can still put on good matches, but there's still stuff where you watch it and you're like, someone wrestling those level matches should know better than this bit and this bit. But there's other bits where she completely blows other people out of the water that have been doing it 10 times as long as her. So yeah, it's a hard thing to judge. But that match, yeah, I really enjoyed that match. I remember I hadn't been at SWA in a long time because I'd fallen out over money essentially, like with Simon originally, and that's all in the past, whatever. But I've got myself in trouble with people before where I've essentially, if they owe me money for anything, it gets to a deadline, I'm like, cool, right, it's going public then. And so we fell out over that, and that's why I hadn't been back. And then obviously you took over, which was something else, and I was like, I'm not expected to ever be brought back because it's still like a good, it's still like you guys know each other, you respect each other. But then when that opportunity arose, it was in a group chat, and a friend of mine that you obviously know of didn't want to do the match, so he'd been drafted as the original replacement. And he was like, I don't want to do that match. I don't feel like it suits my character. I don't feel like it makes sense for me to do. And I was in the group chat and I just went to him and was like, if you can't, if this, your character doesn't do this match, that's on you. That's not on your opponent. So you need to fix you. And he was just like, no, I don't want to do it. So I was like, cool, straight in your DMs or the SWA DMs. Like, yeah, I hear you want an opponent for Chantel. Give me that, please. And you said, luckily, you said yes. Came in. I know that Chantel's been, well, she said she's been a fan of mine for ages. I recognise I've definitely seen her at shows and stuff. But I think she's just a fan of everyone. She's a generally nice person. But yeah, so we had that match. She was really excited to do it. She wanted to do everything I came up with. And she had some ideas of her own as well, which were really good. And it was just so easy. Yeah, some people that just naturally get wrestling, and she's one of them. So yeah, really enjoyed that. Loved the reception we got. Especially because I've always struggled in front of SWA crowds, I think, where I was never a regular there. Whenever I turn up, they prefer the regulars. So that was great because I got such a good reaction, and I hadn't been there in years. So it was good.
I think you've that Disaronno kicking in really well.
It's real bad, yeah. It is. I need to eat more, which is contradictory, but yeah.
So one thing I want to talk about is What Culture and Defiant. I would say, like, I honestly didn't realise that, like, you'd actually been at What Culture, I believe, if I get it right, about 13 times. 13 shows you did. I don't know whether you know that number off the top of your head. But you was obviously there when it was actually What Culture at the time, which was a big time in British wrestling, I would say, for them, because obviously they were probably one of the top promotions in the country at the time, probably, if not. Talk to me about that. What was your feelings working with some of the names that are on there now?
I look back on it and I wish I'd put more effort in. Is my bottom line. And that's purely a case of body-wise. I wish I put more effort in because same thing as always. It's a case of my wrestling. I've always had feedback like where I'll get stuff to improve on, but no one's ever said like I'm bad at wrestling. And a lot of the time I'll come back and I'll even have guys like Will that are like, couldn't fault your wrestling, but you're fat as shit. And it's like that's genuine valid feedback. So I'm sat there and I watch myself back and I'm like, there's nothing I'm doing wrong in the ring. But then I don't look, I wouldn't pay to see me, a waste of time. And so me and Ashley were quite bad for each other in Defiant and What Culture because we love just getting takeaways and shit. And he also sank down like into that pit of just eating shit, same as me, and around each other we were awful. We had an 8 to 10 hour trip each way every time we went there, and so you sat in the car, and all I do when I'm in the car and when I'm bored is I eat all the time. So yeah, so that'll be a continuing theme in this. But essentially, we got the opportunity because me and Ash were at RCWA show. Will came to us and went, "Can you guys get tag gear?" I'm like, maybe. Like, we never tagged before, never really showed any interest in it. It was like, because What Culture have asked me to put some a tag team forward and I'm putting you forward. We're like, yes. So we got in contact with, I think it was Vic Stitch. We're like, we know that it's like a rush, but can you get this because we have this event? And naturally, as with all gear makers and stuff like that, if you have a big show coming up, an important show, they'll get them on the map. They'll do it. And she snapped it up for us. I mega dieted and lost like it's about 1.5 stone in 2 weeks. It's really bad, but my fitness was on another level. I was like, wake up in the morning, go to the gym for 2 hours, go to work, come home, gym for 2 hours, go to bed, and that was it. And it was just so good. But yeah, we got to do that match against Scott. What was he? Scotty Essex back then, Scott Wainwright and Will Ospreay. That's still one of my favorite matches I've ever had. The reaction for two debuting absolutely nobodies was great. That was on the same show. Was that the show? I think that was the show that Cody Rhodes was on. And yeah, Cody Rhodes and Matt Riddle were on that show facing each other. Was that not that one?
No, I'm shaking my head at how insane that must have been, like,
right.
backstage.
Honestly, and he was the coolest guy, like all suited and booted naturally, just been released not so long ago. And Riddle was at the top of his game as well. And we got highly regarded as the best match on that show. Like with those guys on it, and we're like, holy fuck, that is outrageous. As a team that had never teamed before, never even got together and come up with ideas before, just there. So yeah, that was cool. We got to wrestle loads of great people. We got to do the World Cup, which was in like the huge stadium, well, not stadium, sorry, the huge arena they did it in. Well, with guys like Kushida and stuff like that, and just got to hang out with all the New Japan guys. Honestly, all the opportunities we got through there were fantastic. I wish I'd put more effort into myself. It still would have, obviously, it would have disappeared in the end because I'm not going to save Defiant or whatever. But it was such a good place, and especially when it was What Culture time, everyone was so nice. Like some of the best experiences. I've had some like terrible experiences there as well. Like I chipped my tooth and shit there as well, which I'm actually waiting to have removed at the moment because I didn't realise that it killed that tooth. So that was fun. But yeah, it was such a good place, full of really good people. And even though technically we didn't belong, we always got treated like we did.
That's awesome. I mean, it's like I remember we some of the guys from up here, we travelled to quite a few of the What Culture shows, even though they were like 4 hours or 2 hours. Especially, we got a lot of memories of the Milton Keynes shows they did when Angle came down, and I kind of sit here thinking like British wrestling could probably do with What Culture at the moment, but at the same time, that when you've got NXT UK here, and they've got all the certain guys that were featuring on them shows, but you never know. I mean, I hope to one day see What Culture come down. It was always, as a wrestler, sitting in the crowd watching, especially when I saw some of the guys come on, I was like, right, this is the place I want to be. I need to step up my game a lot to get here. But it is a shame that some people won't get to get them opportunities that you had anymore because of that. Them are sadly disappearing. You did win the Defiant Tag Team titles as well, I believe.
That was a nice surprise. Like we knew that they had us penciled in for it at some point, and we turned up to a show, and they were like, "Yeah, these people can't do these dates and stuff, so we're putting it on you today." I was like, "Okay, cool, right," and we just ran into that. That was great. Brought that home. That was such a shame we lost them because I know that we lost them to Benji and Visage on the last show, and they've still got them. So if we wouldn't have lost them, I'd get to keep that belt.
Oh wow!
So yeah, that would have been cool. But yeah, that was a really good fun time as well. That unfortunately didn't pan out as it was intended. So when they spoke about it, they were like, "This is what we want to do. We want to have you do an open challenge." In fact, I'll tell the storyline in a minute as well, if you've got time for that.
Yeah, of course.
So we were going to be doing this open challenge where we invite a new team out every week, and they were like, "Yeah, we're going to have you against." We specifically got told we're going to have you against guys like LAX. We're gonna have fucking the Rascals and a bunch of others in to face us, and we're like, cool, yeah, that sounds really good. And then we ended up facing like the Billington boys twice. I think we did Aussie Open again. We've wrestled Aussie Open more than I've wrestled anyone else in my life. And we got to do Team White Wolf as well. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed every single one of those matches, but they were like, we're gonna do an import for you every single show. And then it's like, maybe not this show, or this show, or this show. And then the storyline that I'd pitched, because I was like, we are doing fuck all at this point. I turned to them and I was like, they do not. This is before we got the belts. It's like they do not like us, like at all. So they all just, and all the comments, they were very heavily internet based. They're like, they're just Will Ospreay's boys. They're only there because of him, which is absolutely correct. Like that's why we were there. So I was like, they're saying it. Let's make it a thing. So I was just like, let's make our gimmick that we are sponging off of Will the whole time, but Will doesn't know that we are because he's not on the shows anymore. So the concept was we'd come out and we'd be bragging about like, if you don't give us the matches we want, whatever, my friend Will Ospreay is going to come down here, our best friend. And so people out of fear would be like booking us in the matches we wanted, doing the things we wanted. And then eventually one day down the line, Will would find out, come back with someone like Paul or Scott or someone and batter us, and like that'd be the big pop. So we were going to have like us come out to his music, and like everyone would like get excited with the music. We come out, they get to the press. His music hits again. He comes out, surprise, beats the fuck out of us. It's going to be great. But then like Will had agreed, everyone agreed, and then Will got super busy, and really can. I don't think they could afford him at one point really for like what they wanted to do. At least not for us anyway. And then the storyline slowly whittled away. And in the end, I had to force it in one of our last matches. I was like, they were like, we've got this story that we want to do with like you and Prince of Me and stuff. And like, And I had to go in there. I was just like, I'm not doing your idea because your idea just ignores everything we've done. And it's the only time I flat out told them, it's like, we are doing what I am telling you now. All the matches are going on because you're just throwing random shit that makes no sense every week. And they agreed to a mix of the ideas, and we got it there. But we were supposed to have this. We had gone on so long that people had forgotten that the purpose was that we were sponging off of Will's name as a lie, and because he wasn't going to come back, they were like, "Oh, you can just sponge off it for real." It's like, no, that literally makes us the worst. Like,
Yeah.
we're genuinely garbage wrestlers who got there because of their mate. You can't make that my actual gimmick. But yeah, anyway, so that's a shame that never panned out. That would have been a big pop. Would have been really good fun. But we got to be the champs. We got to have what CJ Banks, who's very well respected, more northern wrestler. He said he was there live, and he was like, "That's the best ladder match I've ever seen." When we lost them to Benji and Visage, and I'm not going to lie to you, I put together 90% of that match. So, and all the boys were absolutely fine with saying that. I've always said I'm not the good performer, even though I call myself king of performance. I'm the mind. I'm not the guy that actually pulls off the great ideas. I just write them, and that's it. So.
Well, it's better to take something out of it. So, like, with then obviously Defiant sadly going, I don't want to say going under because I don't know exactly the ins and outs of it. But like sadly going, like it left obviously a big hole in British wrestling. But then things kind of pick up right with like frontline wrestling. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely. So Frontline kicked in just as I got back from Japan, which was great. They did the Young Lions tryouts and stuff, and I got asked to come down to help out. And I'd just come back, so I blitzed those tryouts just for a
So
laugh.
has frontline been going that long? Is it?
Yeah, it went for a long time. Originally, it was down at the London School of Lucha Libre. They did the tryouts. And that was actually where I ended up meeting my other half, was down there. So, although I didn't pay any attention to her at the time because I was too busy being a depressed wanker. So, but yeah, so that was cool. Did that. We got put on the first show because he wanted people that were going to wrestle that style when I'd just come back from Japan. So I might not have even gotten the shows if I hadn't been to Japan. So that was great. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
The Lucha Libre school, if that's right, is that the one that's in the performance gallery?
Yeah, the Resistance Gallery. It's the London School of Lucha Libre.
Yeah, that is like one of the smallest venues for shows I've ever seen in my life. I
I think
remember
George
like
Grip went there.
yeah, we went. I actually like me and my ex. We actually travelled down there to pick up Brian Pillman Jr. for our May show last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember getting there, and I didn't know what to expect. I think Mark Young was the guy that I dealt with at the time. Literally,
Yeah, sorry
I
for you,
went.
mate.
Yeah, I haven't heard great things lately, but I don't know much about him in his past. But yeah, I get down there and I look at this venue and I'm like, shit, they're actually running a show in here. It's small as hell. I think like literally 3 times I witnessed people come off the balcony. But some amazing talent there as well. So I think there's some great talent. They're obviously guys that are coming through that school. I think Callum Newman might have been one of them. Is that right?
Like,
Do you know?
he would have been there. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
his home school.
Yeah. He was he was I haven't seen much of him as in the sense of like watching him, but I've obviously seen that he's getting around a bit now. And he looks a really good talent, maybe one to bring in up in the near future. You're also, am I right in knowing that you do offer training as well to some of the schools down where you are, Portsmouth? Is it Portsmouth?
I was down in Southampton, which is next to Portsmouth. I live in London now, so I
Oh, of
don't
course
do
you do.
training
But
anymore.
I don't know. So you don't do
Yeah,
training, but you was doing. You was doing. Is that with I'll think off the top of my head.
Portsmouth School of Wrestling. That's where I was doing it. Rev Pro
Rev Pro. That's
originally.
the one.
Yeah. So basically, I went. Like, that came from a weird, funny situation where I was trying to. I basically pitched a bunch of ideas to improve the school to Quilden, and it just wasn't the right time for those improvements to happen. He was like, but what I can do is give you a slot to do one-to-one training, and then you can help these people with the areas you think. So I was like, okay, cool. Then at least I can make a difference. So I got to go do that, which is like a nice way to earn a little bit of money. But it was also just like smack bang in the middle of really weird days, so it wasn't the greatest like 5. But it was cool because I just love wrestling and I love helping people understand wrestling and why it works. So I got to do that, and then I got to, even when I moved up here, I still got to travel back and do some stuff down there. They brought me in to do a dive class at Rev Pro, which had like 15 people at it, and by the end we had like big heavyweight boys just doing fucking like over the rope flip dives and just getting popped to their feet. I was like, this is probably one of my greatest achievements, is that everyone's just come away from that going, I feel like a god. So that was cool. But then I've also done that same training session at other schools, and some of the smallest people just are the sandbaggiest people. And we've had, for like a practice, we had someone just do a tope, and there'll be 6 of us, like 1, 2, 3 on one side, 1, 2, 3 on the other, with our arms in the middle, so that you dive and we catch you, just so you can get used to doing the dive.
Yeah.
And 6 of us can't hold them, and I can't explain it. Like, some people just fucking weird with their bodies. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, I did get to do a lot of training. I got to take a lot of stuff. Big shout out to Greg Burridge. He gave me a lot of private training sessions when I came up. And I took a lot of those skills down to Portsmouth School of Wrestling and to the other seminars that I do. And I got to use those techniques, and everybody really appreciates them.
I know that, like, you've done a seminar for me in the past at APW, and I know that a lot of people really enjoyed that after the feedback that I got after that. So let's delve more into the backyarding, because obviously you've showed me videos when you was hilariously drunk after one night. You showed me a bunch of videos of you doing some stupid shit, which I'm I'm going to say stupid shit, even though it looked great. Some of the bumps I saw. Would you say, like, you regret that some of them bumps now, or would you say they were learning?
I mean, there's definitely some that have probably messed me up that I don't realise I've done it. There was some at the time, like I did one thing where we ended up doing like a flip DDT through a makeshift table, and it done something to my hip. And we watched it on the live stream I did the other day. So every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m, facebook.com/Kelly Sixx. We watch a bunch of old yard videos, and we did it the other day. And you saw me do the flip, and I land, and I shoot like tap out on the floor. I did the same thing when I broke my leg originally on the trampoline. As soon as I landed, I'm actual like shoot tapping out because I want the pain to stop. It just became a natural reaction. But yeah, I did that, and then afterwards, like once I took a body slam, and that same part of my hip just fucked me, and I dragged myself around the rest of the match. So, but then that doesn't affect me anymore. So I don't think there's any particular injury that I got from backyard that has hindered me too much. I've got more injured from pro, like all my dislocations and stuff came from pro. So nothing I massively regret. I know that there was a thread the other day on, well, the other month, I think, on Twitter, where Nico Angelo was looking for some backyard videos, and he was getting a bit of grief from it and kind of being advised to take the post down. He did take it down in the end, because a bunch of the pro guys that used to yard were saying, like, look, just we yarded because it was shit, which is correct. Like, the scene was god awful when we all started, which is why we yarded, because if you went into training, you were treated like shit. You weren't taught properly in most places, or it was like army regiment, it just wasn't fun. So that's why we yarded. And they were like, you don't have to do that anymore. You can go train properly, which is correct. But I feel like I learned a lot of the stuff that I know now through yarding, through the feedback I got, and through that concept. I spoke about it last night on the stream actually as well, of like making stuff look really good, as good as you can, making basic moves look really good, and learning how to make really dangerous moves really, really safe. I learned a lot of that there, whereas a lot of pro stuff is just, what's the biggest move I can hit you with now? And the amount of times I've been hit by stuff that hurts me in pro when it didn't hurt me in the yard, and the amount of times that I've done moves to people in pro and people have taken it like dog shit, and I've done it in the yard and they've proper arched and like thrown themselves around for me. I think that's missing, because, and this could be completely off, but I feel like there is a portion of wrestlers and that wrestle because it's popular and because you can be successful now, and they want to be a star. They don't want to wrestle, and that's definitely not the case for the majority of people. But there are definitely a portion that want to be a wrestler rather than to wrestle.
They
Whereas
want they want the easy road. They want the easy road. There's a lot of, yeah, I completely agree. I see a lot of guys coming in that aren't willing to put in. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I put a ton of effort in. You know, I'm not saying it because look at my shape, but at the same time, I try to be different from what everyone else is doing and things like that.
It's not even necessarily that they don't try, like, because there's definitely ones like that as well. But there are guys that are top level as well that you can tell they don't enjoy everything they do. Like, I enjoy every single match I have, except there's been a few that I haven't where people clearly don't want to wrestle me. So I'm like, well, great, now I just don't want to be here. But I wrestle because I enjoy wrestling. I don't wrestle because I enjoy being a celebrity. Whereas some people, they come in and they work really hard for it, but they want to be a celebrity. They want to be on, like, they want to be a top wrestler. They don't actually enjoy the path of wrestling. So yeah, those people irk me quite a lot.
Talking about, like, obviously some of your favourite matches. You've wrestled quite a few big names, I would say, on the British indie scene. There might be names that I don't know that you've wrestled. Is there anyone that I particularly wouldn't know that people would know who they are, but don't know that you've wrestled them?
There probably is. I've forgotten. I got to do a really random, fun three-way tag at the World Cup for WCPW, which was me and Ashley versus Lucky Kid, who is obviously quite a big deal now, and Tarkan Aslan, who is like a big deal in Germany, and against Johnny Moss, who obviously now trains for WWE, or trains people at WWE, and Liam Slater, and that was crazy good fun, just because it was loads of talent in the ring, all wanted to do real fun stuff. What have we done? Face the Rascals at Southside. That was one of the most fun matches. That was our last ever tag for me and Ash. But that was real good fun. There's probably been some singles that I've forgotten over the time. Yeah, that's not. I'm still searching for that elusive Mike Bailey match. That's the one I want. That
Mike
if I
Bailey.
get that, yeah, if I can get Speedball.
Believe it or not, we've tried a few times in getting him to SWA, and it's like his schedule is so busy. So who knows? Maybe down the line.
Yeah, still the dream opponent.
What would you say if I said I'm not going to ask you for? Would you know your favourite match you've ever done?
Well, my favourite match ever was a yard match. I can tell you that much. Was myself versus my best mate Chris Marsh in the yard, which was meant to be a loser leaves thing, and it was just like a story we told of, like, because we both had wrestled separately and then we tagged together and then we did this turn so I could retire because I didn't want to wrestle anymore. Basically, I just didn't want to wrestle. But Marsh had gone around telling everyone that he was kind of bored and wanted to quit, so everyone was expecting him to lose this loser leaves. And it's great. Just we tell all the stories of all of our moves that interact. We went through hitting like near falls with all of our old finishers and stuff. So a lot of it was just things that only like a select few people would notice, but it was still there, and the reactions were outrageous. It was the best whole match I'd ever had. Yeah, but obviously that's yard stuff, and some people will just completely discount it. But I put it on the stream the other day, and everyone loved it. In terms of pro, I've had some real fun ones. Honestly, like, it's not my favorite match ever, but I'll say one of my favorite matches because I never sit and think of what my favorite one is. But one of my favorite matches was me and Jake McCluskey from Strike. Jake's super underrated. I'd love to see him around a bit more. He definitely deserves to be, but he just wants to do everything. He lets me do everything I want to do. It lets me do all my ideas, and just a genuine all-round nice guy. We had the main event on the Strike show that it was on, and it was just, yeah, it was brilliant. Like, crowd was out of their seats. All the workers gave us great feedback for it. Absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. So
Okay, so obviously we're dealing with that, what is at the moment one of the craziest things we've ever seen, with the lockdown. Currently, you're also injured.
yes, I am completely disabled, I'm afraid. I am currently on the shelf with my dislocated shoulder. My opposite side to the one I did before. This one's a lot worse. I'm waiting, essentially. So they called me the other day and said that I can have the scan. Originally, they didn't want to give me the scan, and I pushed and pushed, and they wouldn't give it to me because I'd rehabbed the other one. They were like, you've shown that you're able to rehab it, so we're going to rehab this one, even though I knew but this one was worse, 100%. Like, I couldn't
Yeah.
walk because every step I took when I walked, it would shake in its socket, and it was like a sharp pain every time. I was like, I never had that before. With my right one, I wrestled 2 weeks later in one of my favourite matches ever, against Kip Sabian, actually. First time my family had ever seen me wrestle. So with this one, I'm still not wrestling. Obviously, there's no shows at the moment anyway. I'm waiting. I'm going to get a scan on that. They've given me the scan now. Well, they've put me in for the scan, and then I'll find out if I need surgery or not. If I don't, I'll be back sooner rather than later. If I do, could be a year. We'll see. But then who knows when wrestling's going to be back, man?
Exactly. So, like, I'm not going to sit here and say what's the plan when the lockdown's finished, but what's the plan when Kelly Sixx is back? What are you going to do anything different? Are you going to come back? Do you feel like when before lockdown or before you was injured, you was onto something? Because I know you did a bit of bucket list, didn't you, at the beginning of the year? Now you don't have to tell me what obviously number one was.
You know anyway, don't you?
Yeah, I do know. Yeah, but I don't want to say just in case not many people. But is that still the plan? Is the bucket list the plan?
I think it is. Obviously, it depends. If wrestling doesn't come back, I can't achieve what I need to achieve. So I'm not going to write myself off then. If it does come back reasonably soon and I don't achieve it by then, I probably will have to look at myself and go, did I work hard enough for this? If the answer is no, I quit. If the answer is yes, and I got other opportunities through the hard work, I'll consider sticking around. But there is one place I want to be, one place that I didn't make the most out of the first time I was there, one place that I'd fit in, and honestly, the one place that's leading UK wrestling, in my personal opinion. So yeah, that's the place that I want to get to. Everything else is just essentially a case of cutting down. This whole time we've been in, well, I say the whole time that lockdown's been going on, half the time we've been through the lockdown, I've just been like doing a nice steady cutting diet, losing off like all the weight up on, because I put on a lot of weight, especially as soon as I did my shoulder. The few weeks after that was just binge eating, because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. What's the point? Just like give up. But then I was like, I'm going to put all my effort into this, and yeah, I know that I need to get myself down to a certain size and to a certain condition. And once I'm there like that, I'm going to present myself to this place that I want to go to, and we'll go from there.
So like, I get, obviously, I understand, like, obviously injury frustration myself. The guideline I sent, especially during this like first, say, I think I'm nearly 8 weeks since I had my last surgery. I said to myself, right, up until about the 7-week stance, I'm gonna eat just whatever I want, and then 6, I'm gonna come back from set 7, I'm gonna eat well and start doing my exercises, because I started exercising. I want to come back different. I want to come back a different shape. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to have abs bulging, but I'm definitely going to work harder. I can't imagine currently like not having you on a roster. I wouldn't. Would I have said this a year ago when you wasn't on our roster? Probably not. But now that I've had you there, I think like you add so much. And like you said, you said earlier, you're a guy that's willing to do anything. I don't have to sit here and go, okay, oh, this isn't good for my character, like you mentioned earlier. For someone, you'll do as you're asked, and you'll put on one hell of a performance. I'm quite shocked that you think that if you don't, I'm not going to mention the place, but obviously if you don't get there, that will be the end, because I still think you have a lot to offer, more than you let on. And I think a lot of, especially SWA fans now, who have seen you develop, I would say, a lot over this year, would agree. So I hope, and I'm not just saying that because it's been recorded, I hope you reconsider your options and don't let that top target, because I do think you have a lot to offer British wrestling in general. On that note, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your thoughts. I urge everyone to check this guy out, even though he's not about at the moment wrestling currently, not just because of lockdown, but because of injury. Check out all his social medias and certainly check out the new stuff on the gear. Kelly, thanks for joining me. And is there any final words you want to push out?
Nothing off the top of my head. We already spoke about On the Gear, so I won't go through that again, but please do have a look at that. Please, obviously, come check out SWA when we come back. Absolutely, I love to be a part of it. It's such a nice place, and everybody really. There are some locker rooms you go into which aren't necessarily bad, but it's just not fun. And these guys, again, all treat me like an equal. When to some of them, I'm definitely not like, and that's great when people treat you as on the quality of human being you are rather than how high up the ladder you are. Whereas you'll get that differently. Some places, some people won't even give you the time of day if you're not going to help them elevate themselves. Whereas SWA, no one that I've ever spoken to in the locker room has ever made me feel like I'm below them. So that's really, really cool. Yeah, so please check out SWA when it all comes back. Obviously, I want to come to APW. You did actually promise me a book in there.
I am. You're definitely going to come back when you are fit and ready. We will sit down and talk, and we'll sort out a date. 100%.
Would be good, thank you. Oh yeah, the streams every Tuesday, Friday, 8 p.m. I'm going to be putting out more promos. I really want to rap battle people as well. No one's man enough to do it. I'll do it live on stream. I don't even care. Let's go. If you want to get involved, yeah, chat.
Tag Hustle in it.
Me and Hustle could go. But then me and Hustle have never done anything wrestling wise. And I think when we finally do, the promos will be on another level. So I don't want to use it up on online streams. I want to save it for shows.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, so because I think there's money in that, but yeah, so yeah, that's kind of all. I could speak for days and days and days and stuff, which is why that stream is there, so people can listen to me rabbit for 5 or 6 hours while I get pissed. But yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you very much. You've always been really good to me.
No problem, man. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Kelly Sixx joining me on Outside the Ropes with Luke Basham. Sit down with. Thank you very much.
Peace out, A-Town.
Hi guys, I know it's probably a hard time at the moment during COVID-19. Please remember to stay safe during this hard time. And please remember, if you could like and share, it would be much appreciated. Thank you.